My name is Darrel Menthe, and I'm running for Culver City Council. I live here in Culver City. I've lived here for 14 years. My wife, Sarah, is an attorney who works for the federal courts. We have two kids, Vivian, who's 12, James, who's 9, and is going to be embarrassed that I said that. I have been the president of the Culver City Downtown Business Association for about 5 years now. We came to the city manager as a downtown business association asking to close down the north side of Culver and Main Street. You have to imagine what it took for that to come out of the Downtown Business Association, but we did it at least on a temporary basis. My hobby is making sausages, and there are so many jokes I could say about that, and you can just make them all in your head because I'm not going to do it. Culver City's been at a crossroads, and I feel like what we needed were candidates who had the experience to really help make government work. That means detailed experience with city staff, with city budgets. As the vice chair of the Finance Advisory Committee, I've been working with city budgets for some years. I also wanted to make sure that we continued the progressive revolution that Megan Sally Wells started here several years ago. I thought I could help unite the city. I have an unusual background that allows me to draw both from the business community and from the progressive community. Being ready on day one to actually help move the progressive revolution forward, and now despite the shocks of pandemic and recession that make this all harder, that's why I wanted to run. The things that are most important to me are constructing affordable housing and a lot more housing. We have to really make transportation and mobility work. And we also need to deal with the issues we've been confronted with the murder of George Floyd. We can't wait anymore to really reimagine how we do public safety in this city. Right now, we've been focused a lot on Black Lives Matter, and we need to do that because we've had 300 years of policies that have said that Black lives don't matter, and that's how you have to fix it. It's also really important to include all the other communities here. We don't talk about the Muslim community. We don't talk about the South Asian community. There are large communities that are actually still quite invisible here, and we need to bring everyone in. When people say defund the police, I feel like the next thing you have to say is, well, I don't really mean taking all the money away. I'm definitely not going to say defend. What I want to talk about is reimagining public safety, because I'm actually not sure it'll save money. We need to invest in new training. We need to invest in a mental health corps. We need to invest in non-lethal ways of handling situations. We need to invest in social work. We have a lot of capacities that we don't have in this city at all. We will have to reduce the size of the police budget to fit what our needs are. We have had a custom in this city of creating our city budget by asking the city police chief how much he wants, and that's not really the way to do it. But I think if we do it right, we end up with a police force that solves one of the biggest problems we have, and that is that people that I know who are white largely have a wonderful experience of Culver City Police Department. And we have to face up to the fact that people of color in the city do not. They have a very different experience, and that has to change. We need to build a police department where everybody in this city, regardless of their color or origin, feels as comfortable with the police department as I do. Absolutely, we need to really change how we do public safety in this town. So how do I advocate for sustainability here in Culver City?
I love trees.
The biggest thing we can do in sustainability is to try to create a Los Angeles and a Culver City where the people who work here can afford to live here and take mass transit around. We must provide the transportation alternatives. We can't be in a situation where we just hope people don't want to use cars. There have to be good alternatives that people really want to take. One of the things that's been disturbing right now is that during the pandemic, we have simply retreated on so many of our environmental goals. Part of it is we actually need to solve the problem of having pandemic-friendly reusable grocery bags. Rent control is a very important issue right now. We have to deal with the displacement of renters. It's been a problem, it's a continuing problem. We do know that rent control comes along with some unintended consequences, some problems. We need to make sure that as a city council is willing to listen to smaller landlords, willing to figure out exactly what the landlords need, what the tenants need. I think we can make rent control work, but I think doing it, we have to make that commitment to build additional housing, because if we can start building the units that we need in this city and elsewhere to make it possible to stabilize rents, then that's the best of all the worlds. So if the question is why me in particular, why now? I think I bring something different to the table. I think the ability to unite different factions in this city, to get support from both progressives and less progressives in this city, and the business community, I think that's essential, because I think we've had a lot of division in this city. I think we need to get past that now, because we have COVID-19 and recession, we had big problems before. Now we have monumental problems. And if we tackle them together as a community, then we can come through this with a stronger community than before. And I believe I can help do that.